Welcome to this explainer. Today we're going to do something that's highly efficient but honestly just incredibly fun. We are going to effortlessly master over 200 French vocabulary words. How? By walking through a single typical day in France. Instead of just staring at a random list of terms, we're going to build a mental map together. By the end of this journey, you're going to see exactly how naturally these words fit into your own daily routine, which is going to make them stick in your memory so much better.
So, here's our agenda for the day. First, time and morning routine. Second, family in your home. Third, food, flavor, and fashion. Fourth, commuting and careers. And finally, number 5, exploring the outside world. Let's get right into it.
Chapter 1. Time and Morning Routine.
Okay, so we begin our day by establishing the time and navigating those crucial first moments after the sun comes up. Morning, or matin, really sets the tone for everything that follows. And what's super interesting here is how perfectly a standard morning routine actually maps onto precise units of time. Just think about how your own morning unfolds. In the very first seconde, or second, you se réveille, you wake up. Give it a minute and you actually se lever, getting up out of bed. Fast forward a demi-heure, a half hour, and you might prendre une douche, grab your morning shower. And by the time a full heure has passed, well, you're ready to s'habiller, getting dressed for the day. Tying these action verbs to the ticking clock is literally a fantastic visual anchor for your brain.
Now, before we actually leave the bedroom, let's just quickly zoom out from our daily clock to the broader passage of time that you'd find on your calendrier, your calendar. Look at the progression here. We start small, right? With the semaine, the week, and everyone's favorite, the weekend. Then we expand out to the mois, the month, and the année, the year. We can even look at a décennie, a decade, or jump a whole siècle, a century. And of course, time is colored by the seasons. The fresh printemps, or spring, the warm été for summer, the crisp automne, and the cold hiver.
Chapter 2. Family and your home.
All right, so as you step out of your bedroom, you might run into your family in the hallway or the kitchen. Let's categorize exactly who makes up your household. The crucial takeaway here is that we can neatly divide the family tree, the famille, into 3 distinct generations. It makes it so much easier to memorize. On one side, we have the grands-parents, featuring your grand-père and grand-mère. In the middle, the parents, your mère and père, and then you have the enfant or children. This includes a fils for a son and fille for a daughter. And here's a cool trick. You can even combine the generations. A petit-fils is a grandson and a petite-fille is a granddaughter.
And that actually brings us to a really brilliant, simple rule in French vocabulary. Look at how seamlessly we talk about siblings, or frères et sœurs. By simply adding the adjective grand for big, or petit for small, we instantly transform the basic words. It's like a vocabulary cheat code. A grand frère is an older brother, while a petit frère is a younger brother. Same exact thing goes for sisters, grande sœur and petite sœur. It is a highly efficient way to multiply your vocabulary.
To cap off the home section, we can string together some chore-related verbs to show exactly what a typical evening routine looks like in a French household. Step 1. You might faire le ménage, literally do the cleaning. Once the house is tidy, step 2 is préparer le dîner, making the evening meal. And then, inevitably, step 3 arrives, faire la vaisselle, tackling those dirty dishes. By literally picturing yourself moving through your own home performing these tasks, these phrases are just going to lock right into your brain.
Chapter 3. Food, flavor, and fashion.
Okay, so it's time for breakfast and finishing up our morning prep. This brings us to a massive, flavorful collection of vocabulary centering around what we eat and what we wear. Let's head to the kitchen first. Organizing these edibles by category absolutely prevents us from getting overwhelmed. First up, the bright fruits. We've got a yellow banane, a crisp pomme or apple, a sour citron for lemon, a sweet fraise for strawberry, and a juicy pêche, a peach. Over in the vegetable aisle, we have leafy épinard, the versatile courgette, and aubergine for zucchini and eggplant, and sturdy choux for cabbage. Finally, the spices that bring the whole shebang to life. Ail for garlic, spicy gingembre, warm cannelle for cinnamon, and a nice kick of moutarde.
But hey, you can't enjoy all that food without the right tools, right? Imagine setting the table for your meal. Right in front of you goes the assiette, your plate. To the top right, your verre for water or wine. Beside the plate, you lay out the cuillère, your spoon, the fourchette, your fork, and the couteau, your knife. Maybe there's a cruche, a pitcher, right in the middle of the table. And back on the stove, you've got the poêle and casserole, your frying pan and saucepan.
All right, before you step outside, you obviously have to get dressed. Our source gives us a really fantastic top-to-bottom wardrobe list. You might pull on a chemise, a shirt, paired with a pantalon, pants, or perhaps a jupe, a skirt. Don't forget a chaussette on each foot before you tie your chaussures, your shoes. If it's a bit chilly, you'll want to grab your veste or jacket, maybe even a heavy manteau, a coat, and a bonnet, a winter hat, to keep warm. And finally, strap on your montre, your watch, so you aren't late.
Chapter 4: Commuting and Careers.
So you're fully fed and properly dressed. Now it is time to head out into the world for work. I actually have to ask you, how are you planning your commute today? Because while our source material starts out completely normal, it quickly takes a very imaginative turn. You could drive your voiture or maybe catch a train, but surprisingly, our vocabulary list also throws in a sumaround. Now, unless your daily commute involves diving deep under the ocean in a nuclear submarine, I'm gonna guess that one might be just a bit excessive for a Tuesday morning.
So, from the everyday to the completely unexpected, here is your rapid-fire list of French transportation. On the road, alongside your voiture, you'll see a camion, or truck, a bus, and a vélo, a bicycle. Below ground, there's the metro. Out on the water, a bateau, a boat. Up in the sky, you have an avion, an airplane, or an hélicoptère. And if you have a really, really intense business trip, well, just hop in a fusée, a rocket.
Once you finally arrive at work or start running errands in town, you might encounter these professions. We've grouped them by industry to really help your brain lock them in. In the food world, you have the boucher, cutting meat, the boulanger, baking bread, and the cuisinier, cooking up dishes. Under public services, you rely on a médecin, a doctor, a policier, and a pompier, the firefighter. And for the essential trades, you'd call a plombier for your pipes, an électricien for the wiring, or a mécanicien for your car.
Chapter 5: Exploring the Outside World.
All right, the workday is done, and now we transition to the final part of our day, stepping away from the office and exploring the broader environment around us. As you walk outside, take a look at the living creatures sharing the space with you. You'll probably spot a pet chien or chat, a dog or cat. Out in the country, maybe a cheval, a horse, or a vache, a cow. But don't forget the tiny creatures, the busy abeille or bee, the annoying moustique, the stinging guêpe or wasp, the delightful little coccinelle or ladybug, and, yep, even the dreaded cafard, the cockroach.
Now check out how closely related these two vital location words are. The ville represents the bustling city, full of noise, traffic, and high-rises. But in contrast, if you just add a simple suffix, you get the village, representing quiet, charming, small-town life. It's a really great example of how similar-looking words in French can represent very, very different paces of life.
And finally, these are the crucial destinations that make up the overall map of your day. You might need to withdraw cash at the bank or buy supplies at the magazine. You might grab dinner at a restaurant or take a relaxing stroll through the park. Maybe you're traveling, taking off from the aéroport to sleep in an hotel. Or perhaps you're leaving the city entirely to enjoy the campagne, the countryside. To wrap up this explainer, I want to leave you with a question. Now that you have over 200 foundational French words perfectly organized in your mind, which of these beautiful landscapes are you going to travel to first? Are you going to hike la montagne, the mountain? Will you relax on la plage, the beach? Or will you wander through la forêt, the forest? You've got a 200-word map to the French language now. The only question left is, where will you take it tomorrow? Thanks so much for joining me on this explainer, and keep practicing.